What's up, suckers? It's me. I'm back for the last time in 2023. And if you're watching this and you're like, holy crap, Ariana, you look tired, that's because I am. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's move on. If this is your kind of thing, if you're really into ADHD apps, ADHD productivity, I have a lot of things in the wings where we're going to be talking a little bit more about ADHD, but kind of broadening our horizons in terms of neurodivergence and productivity and the practical way to work with different brains. So if this is your kind of thing, please make sure that you like and subscribe. It helps cool people find me. It helps me find cool people. And what other reason do I have for doing this? Anyway, I thought that it would be really cool to close up our 2023 going over the apps that I have done full-on reviews for, kind of talking about what changes they've gone through since I worked with them, whether or not I would still suggest working with them, and yeah, let's get right into it. So we're going to go ahead and open actually with an old friend who I reviewed back in 2022. I still work with them, but there have been some changes that I have been meaning to tell you guys about. So if you remember, or even if you don't, I worked with a company, an app called Centered. It is an online digital co-working app that really knows how to gamify the experience, give you celebrations and achievements for doing the things that you were going to do anyway. And it just has like a nice chance for you to have a good community and a good group. I also spoke with my friend Ellis Probilski, who has their own channel or their own group on Centered as well. However, Centered is no longer Centered. So if you have been trying to find that company to come work side by side with me, I am there every weekday from 9 to 11 Costa Rica time, which is either going to be Central Standard Time in the United States or Mountain Standard Time, depending on what time of the year it is, because daylight savings is bullshit. If you've been looking for it, it is no longer called Centered. It is now called the Sukha. That is spelled Sukha. There's a really cool blog post that they actually made about why the name has been changed, and I'll link to that in the description. But it is now called the Sukha. It now does not have a free account available, but it now does have a 14-day free trial before you upgrade to Pro. Upgrading to Pro looks like $20 a month if you do it monthly, or about 30% less if you do it yearly. And I do have a code in my description for this video or podcast, whichever way that you are consuming this, where you can get an additional 20% off when you upgrade to Pro. So if you want to come work side by side with me, I am there 9 to 11 every day, unless we're talking holidays or sick days. And yeah, we just check in with each other. We support each other. We ask each other questions. It's a really fun time. And I'm probably going to try to do some things with my group, specifically for my group next year. So come join us. Now on to the ones that I actually did talk about in 2023, starting off with Amazing Marvin. I want to make it clear, I still adore Marvin because I'm always testing apps and always kind of getting a feel for them. I don't work with Amazing Marvin anymore because I'm constantly working with other groups or other apps, but I still think Marvin is, well, amazing. And I still think that it is fantastic for ADHDers who want to have a lot of control over the customization of their dashboards, but who also want something that's going to be a little bit more functional in the way that an ADHD brain works. So since I last looked into Amazing Marvin, they have actually made quite a few changes. And one thing that I really love about them as a company is that they seem to be very upfront and very transparent about the changes that they make. They, instead of just kind of putting it on a change map or, just simply sending out emails to people who use it, they actually have a public video that you can watch that outlines all of the things that have been changed and even shows you how they work. There's a link to that in the description as well. Lots of links for you guys today. And there's a lot for you guys to check into, so I'm not going to cover all of it, but a couple of my favorites are that now Amazing Marvin includes text styling so that you can actually make your text look pretty and rainbow and shiny, and so it gives you something a little bit more fun to play with there. They also have included a mood tracker, which I think is extremely important from a time management, energy management standpoint. Knowing the connection between how much work you get done versus how your mood is, or knowing the connection between when certain things in life happen and when you don't get certain things done is part of energy management. And they do have that option now available for you to include when you are building that dashboard. So I think that's amazing. And I'm a fan of whenever things are put out there to help ADHDers pay more attention to themselves and to help get to know themselves better. There's also now a browser extension, which makes things a lot simpler for those of us who use Chrome. Proportional break timers. So now instead of saying, well, I have to do 30 minutes in Pomodoro and then, 10 minutes on, if you decide that you have a much shorter attention span that day and you would prefer to only do like 15-minute work spans and then have like a 5-minute break, it'll automatically fix that for you. And you have the chance to further customize your dashboard with a background image option. I don't know that I would bother with a background image, but I know that for some people that really helps to make things aesthetic and to make it feel more pleasing to the eye, therefore more cozy, therefore they're more likely to visit and use it. So I think that is fantastic. So good going, amazing Marvin. Keep being amazing. Hopefully, if you guys haven't gotten a chance to work with them yet, you can go ahead and watch the video that I did talking about them. And if you want to try them out, visit them. I think you'd love them. Next up is Motion. And I've talked about Motion a lot on my channel because it is by far the most popular app out there that really kind of has a lot to offer it for ADHDers. And they frustrate me on some level because every time I talk about them, I'll say that they don't have something, and I don't know if they're watching me or if it's just to spite me or if I'm just late to the game. But every time I say they don't have something, they immediately update it and fix a billion things, and then my video becomes obsolete. So honestly, as frustrating as that can be on one level, on the other level, I absolutely love Motion because they're consistently changing things. They're consistently trying to be better, the best, and we only can benefit from this. This is why I suggest to so many people that they still work with Motion. Even though I don't work with Motion anymore, that's only because it doesn't work for my particular use case, but there are so many people who it does work for, and that's another video that you can go ahead and watch to kind of see who I think it would work for and who it wouldn't. But since we last spoke, one of the things that I mentioned was that they needed a mobile app. They now do have a mobile app. I have not worked with it, so anybody else who has, please, let me know in the comments how it is. I know that when they had one when they first came out, it was very clunky, so I'm hoping that it's a lot better this time. On top of that, I know that one of the things that was a frustration for some people was that Motion only worked with Google Calendar at the time that I first looked into them. And that had been the case for quite a while. However, earlier this year, just recently, they have now made it possible for you to integrate Motion with Outlook and with iCal. So now you don't have to use Google Calendar in order to use Motion. And it also has an integration with Siri, Apple's digital assistant. So definitely, if you're the kind of person who's like, I like to keep everything going with Apple, now you can. You're welcome. I do have a link that you can visit to go ahead and try them for 7 days free. That is also in the description, along with all the other links I have. You should totally and completely try them out if it is something that you think matches your use case. So now we come to somebody who makes me a little sad. I did a review of Brite earlier this year, and at the time they had a lot of promise, a lot of potential, and I was super excited to bring it to you guys. I was one of the first people they asked to test it, and then recently I got a comment on my video saying that support had really fallen off, that the app had become pretty glitchy, and I went back to kind of check on it, and it really doesn't look like much has changed since I last worked with it. Looking at the website, the blog hasn't updated since September. I'm seeing a lot of 1-star reviews in the App Store because of billing issues where people are getting charged even though they've tried to cancel their subscriptions. And I want to say that I truly am still pulling for Brite because I think it has potential to be a fantastic all-in-one digital planner for ADHD brains. So I'm seriously hoping that maybe they are just taking some time to regroup, to think of the things that they're going to change, and to come back. Their website roadmap, talking about all the changes that they were planning on making, is the same as it was when I looked into it earlier this year. So here's hoping that maybe they're just kind of trying to do a little bit of moving around to make it a better app. There's no real telling, but I am still pulling for Brite, and I hope that, you guys will keep checking into them in 2024. And if anything gets better or goes forward for them, I'm definitely going to let you guys know. So I'm going to skip right over Goblin Tools because Goblin Tools is still Goblin Tools, and a lot of people really seem to still love it. I think that it is great for little one-off things. I don't really use it day to day, but I still think that it is fantastic for anybody who just kind of needs a little bit of a nudge in the right direction. So just moving straight on into Lunatask. Lunatask is still growing and changing in multiple ways, and they've kind of been doing that for many, many years. And kind of like I said with Motion, I absolutely adore the fact that they are just always on this path to making themselves better and better for their users. And they really don't seem to care too much about worrying about being too much like anyone else. They just kind of want to be what they can be, the best they can be for their users, and that's amazing to me. They've changed a ton of things, including improving the natural language portion of things so that you can say, do this tomorrow, and it automatically will schedule it for tomorrow. They've made it easier to filter and adjust views so that you can change how you see your data day to day. The changes are, in fact, so extensive that I think it's going to just be easier for you guys to visit their releases page and see what they've changed. If you guys have watched my Brite video and you're like, you know what, screw Brite, I don't really want to do this anymore, Lunatask is actually a great replacement for Brite. So you can also go and check them out and see what you feel about them. They are just constantly changing, and they're actually a lot more established. They've been around for many more years, and I actually love it for people who need a reasonably priced or more economically priced app that is going to kind of keep track of habits and tasks and still give them different ways to see all of those things. And finally, we come to my favorite of 2023. I am still using it for work. I refuse to leave it. I just can't. Sunsama. So Sunsama is, I did a video on it. Good for you to go ahead and watch, and you can see all of the things you can do with it. But Sunsama is also just consistently changing and growing and trying to add integrations and different things. Right now, I am actually not using Sunsama as much because I have taken some time off to spend with my family for the holidays. But when I hit 2024, I hope to hit the ground running. There's a lot of projects, a lot of planning that I'm going to have to do, and Sunsama has been a part of planning my workday constantly. So I can honestly say that it has just continued to be as great as it was the day that I first tried it. It's amazing with the time blocking. It's amazing with making sure that I'm honest with how much time I have left, with making sure that I am being reasonable with what I say that I'm going to do in a day. It makes me sit to think about how much energy I have before I start planning my day. I can't say enough good things about it. And with all of the apps that I have tested, this is pretty much the only one this year that I decided to just continue to keep paying for and staying with because I love it that much. There isn't really much to say in terms of an update for Sunsama. They haven't really done much. I really only just reviewed it, I think, in November. So they haven't had a lot of time to do much, except they did integrate with a product team app, it looks like, called Linear. So if you use Linear and you're looking for something that works with that, it does integrate with that. I don't use it for that. I actually just use it to integrate with my email and with ClickUp, but it does a fantastic job either way. It's going to change your life regardless if you have any other apps that you need to just kind of pull everything into to figure out what you need to get done. So I still highly suggest Sunsama for numerous people who might need this to keep track of their work days. I do have a link in the description for you to try a 14-day free trial. So if you want to do that, please feel free to. Otherwise, that kind of brings us to the end of all of the apps that I have looked into this year. I do have some coming up next year. I'll be talking about TickTick. I'll be talking about Notion. But if you have any others that you would like me to look into for next year, please make sure that you bring them up to me, because I'd be happy to look into whether or not they're worth talking about. I wish you guys the best of a New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. May 2024 be our year, finally. I feel like since 2020, we've just been kind of puffing on through. So hopefully this is us finally reaching the precipice. I wish you and your families nothing but the best. May you guys have an amazing, amazing time. Hope you had a fantastic holiday. Drink plenty of water. Take care of yourselves. And I'll see you guys in the next year.